Cole was obviously the story last night. The 8 innings, the 12 strikeouts. So it's 78 strikeouts on the season, 56 since his last walk, which was literally a month ago. April 12th was the last time that Gerrit Cole walked a batter. He's only given up 3 home runs in 53 basically innings pitched. That's it. And the Yankees needed every bit of it. They only got 1 run last night on 7 hits, and it was just enough. You had Boone calling him a bulldog. You had the stare down on that last pitch where Cole said he emptied the tank 99 on the radar gun, and he goes 8, as I said. The Yankees, though, I think this was a tension release for them, Moose. I mean, the fact that they were able to win this game 1-0 in one that was just tight from the very, very beginning. And considering what's been going on with the Yankees over the last 2 days with the COVID outbreak that they've had on the coaching staff and Gleyber Torres being held out of that game last night over an abundance of caution and contact tracing, I mean, the fact that Gerrit Cole could carry them to this win and now this series win assured, I think it just helped really release a lot of tension for them. And despite all the distractions that are kind of going on around the team, Cole said that he was able to focus in almost better than he ever has. In a weird way, maybe it made the Rays as the opponent kind of the secondary thing. The Yankees have had to focus in on themselves here the last 2 days because of this scary situation, this COVID outbreak. They were able to ride their ace and ride the Cole train last night. Despite all of that, it's just huge for them. It shows that Gerrit Cole is worth every penny of the $324 million that he got. And honestly, I think for Yankee fans, I think they're saying to themselves, and Moose, you tell me because you're a diehard, it's kind of the first time you've had really this kind of reliable ace since early CC. Someone who has been this good. I know Severino has had his moments. He's had some great moments. Yeah. But in terms of the reliability, it really feels like Cole is doing that and so much more for not just himself, but leading a pitching staff that's 3rd overall in terms of starters for ERA in this early season. It all came together for them last night in a nail-biter down in Tampa.
Oh, no doubt. And now you go for the throat with Tyone tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays and sweep the Rays in that dump they call a field down in Tropicana. So, he was fantastic. Everything that he said. I mean, the fact the strikeout to walk it ratio is ridiculous. You could look at, he's worth every single last dollar. Leading this pitching staff, it needed to be more than just Gerrit Cole, which we talked a lot about. So you needed Jordan Montgomery with the 9 strikeouts, game 1 of this series. You look at the step forward that Corey Kluber has given you. You look at Jameson Tyone has been okay, but we'll see where he is middle part of the year as he continues the ramp up after having, coming off of Tommy John surgery once again, Maggie. But we know that Tyone and Cole are very, very close. He's awesome. I mean, there's really no doubting. He's just how many different adjectives can you do to describe brilliance? I mean, that's really what it comes down to with Gerrit Cole. And when he's airing it out in the 8th inning last night, and then you hand it off to Aroldis Chapman, you hold the 1-0 victory. It's kind of a big boy victory as well. It's not like a 8-2 win where you're getting the starter out after 6 innings because you want to make sure that you save some bullets in the holster and you live to fight another day. It's none of that. It was the Yankees, even though their offense is not nearly what it once was, and it's not across the sport. And we talked about that a little bit earlier in the week, Maggie. They're winning games. They've now won 4 straight series. So swept away. They swept away the Tigers. They took care of the Astros 2-3. Take 2 or 3 from the Nats. Now you've taken the first 2 against the Tampa Bay Rays, and now you're 4 games over the 500 mark. It's amazing that this team at one point in time was 6-11, and since that point in time, they're 14-5. So they've gotten on a run here, and they've done it differently than you probably anticipated to do. The bullpen has been what you expected it. We talked about Loaisiga a couple nights ago. It was a big night and a big start for Gerrit Cole, and this is an important series. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's more important and, less fun than the Astros series because the crowds were great. When Houston came to town and all the booing and the signage and the plastic garbage can and getting an Altuve even on his birthday and all the chants, some more colorful than others. This was an important series that we talked about earlier in the week before it got going. It's time to start being the Tampa Bay Rays. It really is. And, they've done it with pitching and some timely home runs. I mean, that's what they've done. Last night, a timely double. I mean, they hold on to the 1-0 victory, and they're not badgering, bludgeoning, bad pitching staffs. They're not doing that. It's not all about the offense. This rotation has turned a corner. As critical as I was about Brian Cashman early on and his staff, about putting the staff together behind Gerrit Cole, well, these guys have stepped up and performed. You knew the bullpen was going to be good. At times, the defense has strutted its stuff. They're dealing now with a COVID outbreak on their coaching staff, and you saw Gleyber Torres, due to contact tracing, can't play last night. So you've had guys that have been vaccinated that have now tested positive for COVID-19 that are now away from the club. And even with all of that, to be able to focus on the field and to be able to lean on a guy like Cole, who is just a magician. I mean, nobody's Jacob DeGrom, Maggie, but Gerrit Cole is getting himself to be pretty damn close. He really is. And DeGrom's the best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. Cole came here, and took all the money, and the Yankees paid him. Last year was that condensed season. You see what Gerrit Cole is right now, and he is absolutely ridiculous, because I had every confidence in the world when the Yankees are holding on to that 1-0 lead that Gerrit Cole was going to make that stand up. I really did. And it's such a reassuring feeling when you have that kind of pitcher in your starting rotation. And there are others across Major League Baseball, so it's not like Gerrit Cole is just an outlier. But, yeah, for the first time in a long time, the Yankees have had that guy. And even as good as Luis Severino was, they didn't have the confidence level that you have in Gerrit Cole. It probably goes back to Sabathia, the reference that you mentioned, Maggie, where you have that kind of confidence early on. CC Sabathia, when he came here and signed in free agency, and the Yankees won a World Series in 2009. He is that good. He is, and last night he was splendid. Now, finish the job. I mean, it was you took the first two against Houston last week. You lost game 3. Altuve on his birthday hitting the home run. Now it's time against the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm going to get a little greedy tonight with Jameson Taillon on the mound. I really am. I want to see the Yankees sweep away the Tampa Bay Rays. I want to see them not take just 2 or 3, sweep them away, get to 5 games over the 500 mark, and march into the weekend series.
I just think that so much of the boogeyman aspect of the Rays has been taken away in the first 2 games of the series. Because of the way that the Yankees have beaten them, which is behind the pitching. And then last night, just being able to not give you, maybe we have to stop thinking about the Yankees in that old typical way, which is a team that's going to hang 8 on everybody, 8 runs a night. It's just not who they are right now. Again, across baseball, no, but this is a team that's built for that. Built to hit home runs, built to be led by their offense more than anything. And, a superb bullpen, we thought. But look, It's been the starting rotation, the bullpen, and Chapman, again, perfect. So 9 for 9 in save opportunities, and he's just been exceptional as well. But, think about it, right? I believe in the month of May, I think they've only scored 7 runs once and maybe 6 once. They're getting it done with 3 runs here, 3 runs, 4 runs, that kind of stuff. And last night it was just 1. And I think, honestly, a lot of the wind gets taken out of the sails of the Rays, not just because now they've won the series and stopped that skid against the Rays, but also because they're doing it in Tampa. I don't know if they need to sweep the series. They sent that message to the Astros without having to sweep and only winning 2 out of 3. I think the message is sent, and I think for the Yankees, as a mentality, if the Rays were ever living rent-free in their heads, I think that might be over, or at least it's on its way to being over. It just seems like they were not being intimidated at all. Cole, again, with the stare down, turning the tables on them. We're not really used to seeing that from Cole. He's demonstrative, he's emotional, all that stuff, but not the stare down type of dude.
Yeah.
And he was doing that last night. And, I just think maybe that's on its way to being out the door. And it's been I don't know if it's been a fun rivalry necessarily. It's definitely been intense. It's been, a lot of guys were getting hit. That kind of stuff is not so, fun to me, quote unquote. But it's been an intense rivalry for sure. I think that the Yankees just really, are taking a lot out of it. They're taking something back here. And I think they could end up putting the Rays here in the rear view. They have to have all the confidence in the world. And, I just think there's not that scary. The Rays are not a great team this year. Offensively, they're not a good team. They've been good against the Yankees this year, and they, swept the Angels. And that was kind of basically where we've seen them have a lot of success. They've been sort of a regular middling kind of team, and I think the Yankees just, sort of unmasked them, in these last 2 games.
Well, yeah, they've scored 4 runs. It shows you what pitching can do, and dominant pitching. Montgomery setting the tone. Cole last night, there's been 5 runs between the 2 teams combined in 2 games. So it's not like the Rays have been, and it was an old-fashioned, you got really good pitching last night outside of Gerrit Cole. Tampa did their job as well as the Yankees win the game 1-0. Yeah, Maggie, I'm going to get greedy. I'd like to see the sweep. I talked about before the series started, it's time to start beating the Rays. They've taken the first 2 games. The Rays have owned the Yankees, as we know, going into it. Well, the Yankees were 6-15 previous 21 games before the Tuesday opener on Tuesday night down at the Trop. I want to see a sweep. I do. The thing is when everything that I was concerned with this Yankee team, and there are still concerns, and with this starting rotation, though, they are starting to answer the call. And that's the refreshing aspect. You want to know, what makes me more confident about this group now is because not what Gerrit Cole is doing, Maggie, because he's a constant. He really is. I mean, it's great to watch him work every 5th day. You have confidence that he's going to give you a dominant start. It's really the others behind him that have followed suit and have picked up the slack and alleviated the stress on the bullpen. Chapman being an ace, getting Luke Voit back into this lineup. We chatted about yesterday a little bit about what Voit means in that clubhouse and for this team and the camaraderie. So all in all, though, you feel a lot better clearly on this Thursday, May the 13th, about the Yankees than you have in quite some time, and it was an important series. So tonight, yeah, I'm going to get a little greedy. And you might be right, they don't need to win the game tonight. They took to the first 2 games of this series. You win the series, you get set for the Baltimore Orioles down in Camden Yards on Friday night. So it's not a matter of need. It's a matter of want, right? I've got a desire tonight to watch the Yankees sweep away the Rays. Like, I want to see Jameson Taillon pitch well. I want to see maybe the Yankees knock around Rich Hill. Like, I want to see that tonight. I'm going to get greedy as a Yankee fan where I want to see the sweep. They don't need to sweep Tampa, but I would like to see it nonetheless.
Yeah, well, it'd definitely be the exclamation point. I mean, and then as far as, like, you mentioned about DeGrom, DeGrom is the best pitcher in New York and the best pitcher in baseball. However, last night watching that game, because DeGrom is now sidelined, maybe it does open up the door a little bit for the conversation at least. We weren't even having the conversation a couple weeks ago. It was kind of like even Yankee fans and Mets fans, we could all come together, agree, shake hands on this one and say 2 great pitchers, 2 amazing pitchers, top of their game. But DeGrom is just a tick above what Cole is doing. Watching last night, you got Cole out there was filthy. I mean, he's got the 4-seamer working. Obviously, the slider, the changeup, the curveball. I mean, we know about the spin rate. However he's getting it, it is working. I mean, it's like...
What do you mean by that, Maggie?
I don't know. I mean, what kind of email did he send to the A's trainer or whatever? The stuff. Angels, the sticky stuff. Angels, sorry. But it's like, the thing is I think the conversation, the door got open to the conversation because of the 2 factors that DeGrom is sidelined right now and because Cole is just racking up strikeouts in a way that's like, harkening back to Nolan Ryan. So I think it's opening up the door a little bit for that conversation. If Cole's going to really stay in that conversation, it's going to have to he's going to have to continue with these types of performances. And I'm not saying that to knock him down a peg. I'm saying that to actually enter him into this conversation with DeGrom. Last night, I was thinking it as I was watching that game.
Yeah, it's not an insult to Gerrit Cole to say he's not Jacob DeGrom. You're not wrong. I mean, because DeGrom's also not available right now on the IL. Cole's having a great year. I don't want to it's almost like where
prisoner
if
of the
he's
moment.
not Jacob DeGrom, it's a case of how is he not Jacob DeGrom? Well, I just look at DeGrom differently on a different level than I look at Gerrit Cole of what he's accomplished and really what he is as a starting pitcher. I think Jacob DeGrom is the best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. Doesn't mean that Gerrit Cole can't use that as motivation. They're in the same city. Obviously, Cole, signed the big contract. What the big thing with Cole is that, you've seen guys in this city, and we had a lot of conversations about Francisco Lindor before he got hot over the last 3 or 4 games, Maggie, about guys living up to the expectations. Well, one thing you say about Gerrit Cole is, he's earning his money. Whether you believe he's worth the money or not, Gerrit Cole signed that contract a couple off seasons ago, Maggie, and he has been everything the Yankees could have expected him to be. I mean, that is what he is. So if he's inching closer and closer to Jacob DeGrom, that's good for Yankee fans, and that's great for Gerrit Cole. He's a dominant starting pitcher. There's no question. Is he DeGrom right now? I don't know if he's there. I don't think he's that far off. I just think Jake is just that good. You know, I just look at him as just on a different level than any pitcher in Major League Baseball, really.
No, I get it,
I think
and
that's
I agree
where
with
DeGrom
you.
has separated himself.
I agree with you, but I feel like we have to also understand what we're watching here from
Sure.
Cole. Like, this is something
ridiculous.
that, like, literally has never been done in Major League Baseball history. I was seeing this from Katie Sharp. If you don't follow her on Twitter and you're a baseball fan, like, she's great, KT Sharp. She's, like, really good diving into the numbers and stuff like that. And she said and tweeted this last night that Gerrit Cole is the first pitcher in Major League Baseball history with at least 70 strikeouts and 3 or fewer walks in his first 8 games of the season. Like, let's acknowledge what we're watching here.
Awesome.
Even if it's not DeGrom, like, this is amazing stuff. He's been filthy, and also just, like, again, almost like DeGrom, the velocity too. Like, throwing 99 on his last and his 106th pitch last night, getting better. Like, these guys are getting better as they're getting older. It's nuts, and he was just like had the cheese going last night. I mean, he had the changeup was fooling guys. I mean, the curve, it was all on display last night. Anyway, we want to
the
hear
Yankees
from you.
hopped on the Cole train.